Hi, my name is Scott Peotter. I'm with Costa Mesa Brief. We're here at the Orange County Board of Education. They've agendized a discussion on AB 1955. That's a bill that was just passed by the legislature and signed by the governor, and it will go into effect on January 1st. That bill prohibits school boards or any of their employees in the school district from telling their parents if their child has gender dysphoria or some sort of sexual orientation issues. So that means that if your little son Johnny wants to be Jane and he tells the teacher will be prohibited from telling the parents. That's what we're here for, and you're going to hear from a lot of parents and citizens regarding the board's decision tonight. Tell us why you wanted to talk to the board.
Well, I think that this whole thing is being overplayed. It's a small group of people that are doing this, and they've got the biggest, loudest voices, so they get heard by the media.
So what would you like to see the board do?
What I'd like to see the board do is take this and stick it back in the face of our dear governor and say this is not going to happen.
So basically say this is not going to be our policy, it's not going to be our recommended policy for all of our school districts in Orange County, and sue me if you like?
I was just going to say that. Sue me.
Or should they sue them now before it goes into effect?
I think they need to sue them now.
This is how you divide families and nations, is to weaken the family by putting a wedge between the parents and the children. The Communist Manifesto clearly says that's one of the things you have to do is separate the children, turn them against their parents.
So do you think they're doing it on purpose?
Absolutely deliberate. How else do you weaken a strong nation? You go through the families first.
So what do you think the board ought to do about it?
I believe this is a wonderful board, and I'm positive that they are going to stand against it. Because trying to make people accept this, that's extortion. That's wrong. They should never, ever push anything like this on this family and these communities. This is so wrong. It's cruel. It's child endangerment. It's almost like eminent domain, and our children are not property of the state.
What do you think the board ought to do then?
Veto. They should get throw this bill out.
File a lawsuit against Newsom?
Absolutely.
You know, I've been a resident of Costa Mesa for a long time, and I watch what's happening coming down from Sacramento and some of the bills that have been passed, and I've been very unhappy in general with what Sacramento's been pushing on us.
In general, okay. And 1955?
And 1955 is one of those ones that tipped the scales for me in such a dark way that I got involved, and I decided to come here because I don't even have kids, but I have a lot of friends who have kids. And to me, it is an outright affront on what God has put upon the parents, is that they are the ones who are the stewards of their children, not the state. And for them, the state to be hiding or trying to hide these kinds of things, which, you know, coincidentally, they're talking about screening for mental health issues. These could lead, in my opinion, to mental health issues. And
sure.
From the parents, to me.
So it's like a doctor diagnosing your kid and then not telling the parent what the diagnosis is.
Yeah, even worse so. You know, I think this could lead to mental health issues.
You're here to talk on AB 1955, and obviously you're in favor of it. Tell us why you're in favor of it.
I'm in favor of it because I think that it protects children. And we're not talking about just we're talking about most of the kids are going to be old enough to be held liable for the crimes. We are talking about, and let's not, if we have to give you a legal reason, I mean, obviously I just feel like if any youth who is not comfortable with talking to their parents about their queer sexuality or any level of their sexuality or gender identity, then I think then clearly they're in danger from doing it. We already have too much of a problem with youth LGBT homelessness. I know personally many people who have been thrown out by their parents just because they said they were queer in one way or the other, and their parents just told them, you can't live here, not without any furthermore. They thought it was tough love or whatever it was, but they just threw them in the street.
AB 1955 is kind of like, some people call it the don't tell your parents bill.
And I'm completely against anything that is going to keep the parents in the dark about anything that's happening with their children, because parents should always have first rights of any kind of thing. It's a decision that's made for them.
The parents need to know.
Absolutely, parents need to know.
So the other side would say, yeah, but what you're doing is you're taking a person that's maybe queer and they're forcing them out to their parents, and a lot of times parents will just sit there and say, get out of my house. And so you're going to potentially give them all sorts of issues and problems that they don't want to have. How do you respond to that?
I still feel that it's up to the parents to make that kind of decision. They should know about what's happening in their with their kids, no matter if they're opposed to it or not. They should be aware of what's happening.
Well, I'm here because it's so important that parents not be divided from their children. And 1955 forces schools, administrators, and teachers to separate information that they know about children from their parents. And we should never be in the business of keeping secrets from parents. Parents are the rightful guardians and directors of the upbringing of their children. And mothers give birth to them and fathers protect them. And the state itself has no business in holding information about that child from the parents.
Are you basically saying disregard what the state says?
Absolutely. Disregard it. The state is trying to impose on this local school district that's supposed to have local control and mandate them to do particular things, which is separate children from parents.
So do you want them to sue the state?
Absolutely.
If a child is beginning to use a different gender, that is a serious mental health transition for a child. I would think that a child and their health is the number one priority for a parent. A school and teacher need to work in partnership with the parent. I taught in a private school. Things were different. In a public school, there's so many different layers that I'm sure teachers have to go through. But my heart says that I would like to reach out to that parent. I want that parent to know that that child needs help and intervention. And a parent is going to want to provide all the necessary resources for their child to be the best that they can be.
I'm here because I love kids. And my son, he goes to a private school, but I know it's happening in public schools. And it's just terrible to not give the parent information about their child. And I just feel like the government is hiding things from us by...
And 1955 requires them to hide it from parents.
Exactly. And even like bullying, if they're bullied by their sex, they won't even tell them that part, like why they're being bullied.
So we're talking about 1955. Newsom signed it into law. It goes into effect in January. Do you like it?
No, I hate it.
Well, why do you hate it so much?
Because he is not for parents. I think he's in it for some other agenda.
Okay, what is the agenda? I'll bite.
I think it's exploitation of children to feed their belly.
So he's sexualizing our children at a young age?
That's right.
They're being taught this stuff in sex ed and not necessarily telling you about it.
Yes, it happened this summer.
One of your girls was taught sex ed?
Yes, for 2 weeks it was online course, and about 70% was dealing with LGBT curriculum right there.
Us Republicans, we've been behind the 8 ball for so long. We need to move forward and we need to be proactive. And dads, you need to pay attention to what's going on. These are your children too.
So what else do you have to say to the moms?
Moms, okay, if you're on board with this transgender, ideology, changing the way that things have been done for years, you need to wake up and smell the coffee, because you're not going to recognize your children in about 10 years when they're all grown up and they're still living at home with you because they're working at Starbucks.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw Jordan Peterson responded to this whole thing regarding trans. He said the best solution to come out of gender dysphoria is puberty.
Yes, it is.
Have a motion and a second. Any further dialogue? Okay, barring none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion passes 5-0.